He found his dying neighbor's abandoned mail-order bride. The wind howled across the dry plains as Jacob Miller rode toward his neighbor's ranch. Something felt wrong. Old Thomas Reed never missed a morning, yet smoke hadn't risen from his chimney for 2 days. Jacob tied his horse and stepped inside the small wooden house. The smell of sickness hung heavy in the air. "Thomas," he called. A weak voice answered. "Back here, Jacob." Thomas lay on the bed, pale and trembling. His breathing was shallow, his eyes filled with fear. "I don't have much time," Thomas whispered. "There's something you must know." Jacob pulled a chair closer. "Save your strength." But Thomas shook his head. "She came, the bride. From back east. I sent for her months ago." Jacob frowned. "Your mail-order bride." Thomas nodded weakly. "When she arrived, I was already sick. I couldn't care for her. She deserves better than a dying man." "Where is she now?" Jacob asked. "In the old guest cabin by the creek," Thomas said. "She's alone. Scared. I abandoned her without meaning to." Tears slipped down Thomas's face. "Promise me you won't let her suffer." Jacob swallowed hard. "I promise." By morning, Thomas Reed was gone. Jacob rode to the guest cabin just before sunset. Smoke curled faintly from the chimney. He knocked gently. The door opened slowly. A young woman stood there, clutching a shawl around her shoulders. Her eyes were weary, tired, and filled with loneliness. "Yes?" she asked softly. "My name is Jacob Miller," he said. "I was Thomas's neighbor." Her face fell. "Is he?" Jacob nodded. "I'm sorry." She looked away, biting her lip. "I feared this day." Her name was Emily Carter. She had traveled weeks by train and wagon, dreaming of a new life, only to arrive at silence and sickness. Thomas had paid for her passage but could give her nothing else. "I don't know what to do now," Emily confessed. "I have no family here. No money." Jacob felt the weight of his promise. "You can stay at my ranch as long as you need." Emily hesitated. "I don't want to be a burden." "You won't be," he said firmly. Life on Jacob's ranch was quiet but honest. Emily helped with cooking and gardening. Jacob taught her how to ride and how to survive the rough land. Slowly, laughter returned to the ranch. At night, they talked by lantern light. Emily spoke of her dreams, her fears, and the life she had hoped for. Jacob spoke little, but his kindness said enough. Yet whispers spread in town. "She's a mail-order bride," they said. "Living with a man she's not married to. She must be trouble." Emily heard the gossip and withdrew into herself. One evening, she packed her small bag. "I should leave," she said quietly. "I don't want to ruin your name." Jacob's voice was steady. "You haven't ruined anything. But the town." "I don't care what they think," he interrupted. She looked at him, surprised. "Why?" Jacob took a breath. "Because somewhere along the way, I started caring about you." Tears filled Emily's eyes. "I care about you too." The truth came out months later when Thomas's letters were discovered. In them, he had written about his illness, his regret, and his wish for Emily to be safe, even loved, after he was gone. The town fell silent. They had judged too quickly. On a warm spring morning, Jacob and Emily stood beneath the open sky, hand in hand. There was no grand church, no fancy clothes, only honest love born from loss and compassion. Emily smiled through her tears. "I never thought my journey would lead here." Jacob squeezed her hand. "Neither did I. But sometimes, the hardest roads lead to the truest homes." And on that quiet ranch, where a dying promise was kept, two broken lives became one unbreakable story.